We ruined my sister's wedding, so I'd make sure she'd regret it forever. The day my sister Rachel's wedding was destroyed, something inside me snapped. Rachel was always my hero, the one who shielded me through childhood, the big sister who patched me up after every heartbreak and cheered me through every milestone. Seeing her break down in tears, her wedding dress stained by humiliation, I knew Amber Jennings had just ignited a war. Amber had been Rachel's best friend since college, but I never trusted her. There was always something slightly off about Amber. Her laughter was too loud, her smile too perfect, her compliments laced subtly with venom. But Rachel adored her, and that was enough for me to bite my tongue. Until now. The wedding was everything Rachel dreamed it would be, an elegant ceremony at a lakeside venue, surrounded by family, friends, and stunning flowers everywhere. I was her maid of honor, proud and emotional as I stood beside her. Her fiancé, Liam, looked at Rachel like she was the most beautiful sight he'd ever seen. Everything was perfect, until Amber stood up for the toast. I remember the exact moment everything changed. Amber smiled, held up her champagne glass, and began speaking sweetly about friendship and trust. But gradually, her words twisted into something sinister. Amber began recounting deeply private, humiliating anecdotes about Rachel's past, carefully chosen to wound and embarrass. Then Amber delivered her final blow, accusing Rachel of cheating on Liam with his own best man, Mark. Amber's voice was soft but clear, her eyes filled with fake tears as she dramatically said, "I just couldn't live with myself if I let this marriage begin with a lie." The silence that followed was deafening. Rachel's face turned ghostly white. Liam looked stunned, his eyes flickering uncertainly toward Mark, whose expression mirrored the shock of betrayal. Amber sat down quietly, dabbing her eyes theatrically, and the whispers erupted throughout the crowd. I watched Rachel crumble, her fairy tale wedding collapsing around her. She ran from the venue, sobbing uncontrollably. Liam followed, confused and angry, and the rest of the wedding party dispersed, uncomfortable and scandalized. Amber remained at the table, a smug, self-satisfied smirk flickering briefly across her face when she thought no one was looking. Days later, Rachel was still devastated. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't leave her bed. Liam, despite initially believing Amber, eventually discovered the truth that Amber fabricated everything. Liam tried desperately to repair things, but the damage was done. The trust was shattered, Rachel's spirit broken. I knew Amber had planned this meticulously. Jealousy had twisted her friendship into hatred. Rachel was successful, happy, beloved by all, everything Amber craved but couldn't attain. So Amber decided to destroy Rachel's happiness as her own twisted consolation prize. But Amber underestimated one thing, my determination. If she thought she could dismantle Rachel's life without consequence, she was about to face a harsh reality. Revenge is not always quick. Sometimes it's painstakingly slow, meticulously orchestrated, and infinitely more satisfying. I began studying Amber carefully, mapping out her weaknesses. Amber thrived on social media fame, presenting an impeccable image as a lifestyle influencer. Her followers adored her. She was their idol, their aspiration. But beneath her flawless exterior, Amber was careless. She trusted the wrong people, forgot her own missteps, and left trails of evidence everywhere. Oh, I took months quietly gathering proof, screenshots, recordings, hidden messages. Then, piece by piece, I began dismantling her empire. First, her reputation. Anonymous accounts surfaced, exposing Amber's private messages, mocking followers, calling them desperate and pathetic. Screenshots went viral quickly, spreading like wildfire. Followers abandoned her in droves, feeling betrayed by the harsh reality behind her perfect facade. Next, Amber's lucrative sponsorships. Emails leaked anonymously revealed Amber secretly ridiculing products she promoted publicly. Brands quickly terminated their contracts, issuing public apologies to outraged customers. Amber's once lucrative career vanished overnight, leaving her panicked and bewildered. Amber's personal relationships were my next target. Carefully timed revelations unveiled her numerous affairs. Texts, photos, and intimate emails circulated privately to her fiancé, Daniel. Public humiliation followed, their extravagant wedding abruptly canceled amid scandalous headlines. Amber's friendships collapsed next. I anonymously shared recordings of Amber cruelly mocking her closest friends, exposing hidden jealousies and betrayals. One by one, Amber's inner circle abandoned her, disgusted by her deceit. Amber's once charmed life unraveled at an agonizing pace. Her carefully curated image disintegrated, leaving behind a lonely, desperate woman pleading for mercy. Months later, Amber called me, desperate and sobbing, pleading for an explanation. "You destroyed my sister's life," I told her coldly. "You deliberately hurt someone who loved you. You deserve every ounce of your suffering." Amber's silence was deafening. her quiet sobs barely audible through the line. When she finally spoke, her voice was weak, trembling. "Please stop. I've lost everything. Isn't that enough?" "It will never be enough," I answered quietly, hanging up the phone. Over the following months, Amber attempted to rebuild, but the damage was irrevocable. Her attempts to regain followers, friendships, and love failed miserably. She was permanently marked as untrustworthy, her name forever synonymous with betrayal. Rachel eventually recovered. Liam fought tirelessly to rebuild trust, and slowly, painfully, they found a way back to each other. Their bond grew stronger, forged anew by overcoming the darkness Amber had unleashed. Amber's life, however, remained shattered. She disappeared from public view, retreating into obscurity. Occasionally, people would whisper about what had become of Amber Jennings, speculating darkly about her fate. I watched from afar, never revealing my hand publicly, but privately, I found peace knowing justice had been served. Amber had tried to destroy Rachel's life out of petty jealousy. Now her own life lay in ruins, a victim of her cruelty. Years later, Rachel found happiness again. She remarried Liam quietly in a small ceremony by the lake. This time, the joy was real, untainted by betrayal. Rachel's laughter returned, stronger and brighter than ever. Amber never recovered. Rumors surface occasionally, a failed comeback, financial struggles, loneliness, but I never investigated further. Her suffering was no longer my concern. On Rachel's wedding anniversary, as we toasted quietly to new beginnings, she turned to me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Thank you." I smiled softly, knowing exactly what she meant. Some things, like justice and healing, require sacrifice and determination. Amber Jennings had burned Rachel's world down. I merely made sure Amber understood exactly how it felt, and though revenge brought no joy, the knowledge that balance had been restored was more than enough. Rachel found happiness once more, while Amber Jennings discovered the bitter truth of betrayal's lasting consequences. Her once glittering life was now nothing more than ashes, and that, I knew, was justice served perfectly, patiently, and completely